For almost 10 years, I drove down this county without any incident. Locals like to talk about gangs, robbers, car chases, and some supernatural shit. I thought the rumors were fiction to scare off youngsters. But last week, something happened on a misty evening. Fact and fiction blurred. I faced death and the unexplained. It was a late night in early fall. I had just visited a friend in a nearby town and was heading home around 11. The fog was dense, so I turned on my fog lights and focused on the road. Even with them on, the visibility was nearly zero. As I was coming around a sharp bend, I felt a slight jolt in the car. My immediate thought was, shit, did I hit something? My fear was obvious. I pulled the car aside, turned on the hazard lights. I grabbed my flashlight and cautiously stepped out. I walked back about 30 feet from the car. And there he was, a man lying on the side of the road. Did I hit him? As I got closer, I saw a big cut on his forehead. It wasn't consistent with a car injury, more like he'd been attacked. Kneeling beside him, I asked, "You all right, sir?" In a low, desperate voice, he pleaded, "I need your help. They're after me. They want me dead. Please, help me." I was about to dial 911 when he gripped my arm. "No time for that," he coughed, eyes darting around, as if he expected someone to emerge from the mist. "If they see you, they won't hesitate to run both of us down." His urgency was genuine. The terror in his eyes was real. I hesitated for a moment, weighing my options. Should I risk waiting for an ambulance that might arrive too late? Or act on his plea? I was lost in my thoughts when I heard a distant noise, maybe some roaring car engines. I suddenly realized that I could be in as much trouble as he was. If the rumors about this county road were true, I definitely didn't want to stick around to see what happened. "Can you walk?" I tried to sound calm, though my pulse was racing. He nodded weakly. "All right, let's get you out of here first. I can call for help once we're at a safe distance." I placed the man in the back seat so he could lie down. Blood was gushing out all over the seats from his side around his left waist. As I was hopping into the car, getting ready to take off, I noticed the rumbling sounds of the car engines were getting closer. Panic gnawed at me. Perhaps the man wasn't exaggerating. My hands trembled as I started up the engine. I hit the gas, eager to put distance between us and whoever was coming. I reached for my phone, dialing 911. But there was no connection. "Damn!" I screamed to myself. So I hit the auto redial button on my phone, hoping that it'd connect whenever the signal appeared. As I was zooming down the curvy road, my view blurred. My headlights only illuminated maybe 20 feet ahead. Every once in a while, I'd spot some headlights in my rearview mirror. It was weird though. I could never make out the actual car or its shape, just the lights and the sounds of their engine. The injured man managed to sit up from the back seat and looked out at the rear window. "We need to lose them," he croaked, his voice strained with pain. "I'm trying," I responded, slightly annoyed at the obvious. At the same time, I was trying to think of an escape plan. Suddenly, a burst of static came from my phone. The call had connected.
911, what's your emergency?
"There's an injured man with me. He's bleeding badly, and we're being pursued. Please, send help." I relayed my approximate location. The operator tried to calm me down. He said, "Stay on the line with me. We're tracking your location." The man, despite his condition, seemed to gather some strength. "Turn off your headlights," he gasped, "and take the next right." It was a risky move, but I didn't see any other option. I killed the headlights, plunging us into near darkness. Relying solely on my memory of the road, I turned right onto an overgrown path. Branches scratched the sides of the car as we pushed further into the dense woods. The path seemed to be rarely used, covered in fallen leaves and twigs. A few minutes later, the headlights behind us vanished. We'd lost them, at least for now. A sigh of relief tried to break free, but the night wasn't over. Who were they? And how could they just disappear like that? We continued driving slowly in silence for a while, the fog parting and the night deepening around us. The woods seemed endless, with the path turning muddy and treacherous. My car's tires struggled for grip. From the rear-view mirror, I could see that the man was clutching his side. He groaned in pain. More blood was pouring out from his side. I pulled the car over, intending to check on his wound. Just as I opened my door, I heard the sound of police sirens cutting through the thick fog. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. Without hesitation, I hurriedly made my way towards them, my words stumbling out in a rush. "There's a guy in the back. He's hurt real bad. Help him, please." With flashlights in their hands, 2 cops walked towards my car to check the back seats. One of the cops cried out, "There's no one here." "What?" I said, totally stunned. "He was just sitting there." I could tell they didn't believe me, but I kept arguing. "We talked, damn it!" I could feel his weight, hear his voice, and his desperate pleas. I was standing in the middle of the field, not knowing what just happened. One of the cops asked me to drive with them, to show them where exactly I found the guy. So I hopped into the back seat of the cop car and directed them the location where I remembered there was a sharp bend. We got out of the car, looked around. There was no one at the spot where I found him. One of the cops, with a smaller build, walked a little deeper into the woods area to check things out. Suddenly, he yelled, "Body!" The other officer and I followed his voice and walked into the woods. The grounds were wet and mushy. About 20 yards in, and there he was, the man I helped getting into my car. I could see his messed up face from the injuries I saw earlier, just staring up at the sky. The location of his body was quite deep inside the woods that it wouldn't have easily been discovered. Everything got all quiet and creepy, except for the sudden howling of wolves in the distance. The place was surrounded by cops within a few minutes. It was a crime scene now. Yellow tapes everywhere. The cops brought me back to the station for questioning. They finally released me after the whole night of telling them the same story over and over again. I thought the man was bleeding all over my back seats. The cops found no trace of any blood. I was baffled, but also relieved. As I was heading out of the police station, a sudden gust of wind rustled the trees. I pulled my jacket tighter, trying to ward off the chill. That's when I heard it, a faint, distant whisper. "Thank you, my friend. You found me." It was gone as quickly as it appeared. I had just clocked out from my late-night shift, and man, was I beat. It was 3 a.m., and the roads were empty, just how I liked it. I was driving my old Mustang through some lonely stretch in Ohio. Rain was pouring, so thick you'd think the sky was falling. Then my fuel light started blinking. Just my luck, right? I saw a gas station up ahead. It was the only place open along this long stretch of county road. The station lights were flickering like a scene from a horror movie. No one else was there. A little creepy, I had to say. But hey, they were open, and they had gas. So I pulled in. I could hear the gravel crunch under my tires. I got out of the car, swiped my card, pump ready. Suddenly, I could hear this obnoxious loud music approaching. It was so loud that the bass rattled my bones. The music was coming from this black sedan that was pulling up. The car was all tricked out. The exhaust pipes were like the size of jet engines. They meant business. The driver parked the car right next to mine on the other side where the gas pump was. Their windows were tinted. I couldn't see who was inside. They just sat there. Music still playing. I thought, why are they just sitting? Who comes to a gas station late at night and doesn't get out? After a bit, the doors swung open. 4 guys stepped out, all wearing black. They didn't say anything. They just stood there, staring at me. That was when I felt, uh-oh. They were coming towards me. One of them cracked his knuckles, and that sound echoed in my ears. Time slowed down, and every step was like a countdown. I didn't wait to find out what they wanted. My gut screamed, "Get out of there!" Dropping the gas nozzle, I leapt into my Mustang and cranked the engine. It roared to life just as they quickened their pace, almost breaking into a sprint. With tires screeching against the wet gravel, I floored it out of that forsaken station. Just as I thought I was free, my heart sank. The headlights of their sedan burst to life, and I could see them swerving onto the road, chasing me. Now, I know my old Mustang wasn't the freshest horse in the stable, but she had heart. I pressed the pedal to the metal, eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. The rain was relentless, streaking across my windshield as if trying to blind me, but I couldn't lose focus. Not now. For a few heart-pounding minutes, it was a high-speed game of cat and mouse, their headlights hauntingly constant in my mirror. But gradually, I noticed something. Despite their flashy car and menacing demeanor, they couldn't catch up. My Mustang might have been old, but she was fierce. Slowly, but surely, the distance grew. After a few more miles, their headlights were just a tiny speck in my rearview mirror. Then, they vanished. I drove on, my knuckles still white, gripping the wheel. My pulse didn't slow until their headlights had completely disappeared into the night. The next morning, I was scrolling through the news and saw a headline that made my stomach churn. Woman robbed and assaulted at Ohio gas station. The article went on to describe a gas station eerily similar to the one where I had stopped last night. Security footage showed a group of men fitting the description of those I'd seen, and the article warned people to be on high alert. I was driving home back to Arizona down the deserted highway on I-40 that night. It was a long day after attending a conference at Vegas. Only my headlights made anything bright on the road. All I could hear was the constant hum of my engine. My prosthetic leg was feeling heavy, hurting me a bit. I tried to ignore it. I didn't want to think about my time at the war. The steering wheel was cold and a bit damp under my grip. Out of nowhere, a loud bang rang out, like a firecracker going off. My heart jumped. The car started wobbling. I pulled over to the side, my nose catching the sharp smell of burnt rubber. Flat tire, no doubt. Great. Just what I needed. I grabbed my phone from the cup holder and dialed AAA. "Hey, I got a flat tire on I-40, past the old mill," I told them. "Okay, sir. Help will be there in about 30 minutes, the operator replied. I hung up and sighed. 30 minutes. Well, it could be worse. I opened Google Maps on my phone to check how far I was from the nearest town. I zoomed in and out, my finger sliding across the screen. As I was scrolling, headlights filled my rearview mirror. A car pulled up behind me. At first I thought, wow, that was fast. Is that AAA? I squinted to get a better look, but didn't see the AAA logo on the vehicle. It was just an ordinary car, and it just sat there, engine running. I felt a little weird, but I pushed the door open and stepped out, my prosthetic leg making a soft clunk as it hit the pavement. "Hey there, did you stop to help?" I called out, trying to sound friendly but cautious. For what felt like forever, the car just sat there. Then, finally, the doors creaked open. 2 men stepped out, the gravel crunching under their shoes as they walked toward me. "Looks like you've got some car trouble," the taller of the 2 men said, glancing at my flat tire. His voice had a rasp to it, like sandpaper. He wore a baseball cap that cast a shadow over his eyes. "Yeah, flat tire. Called AAA, but they're taking their sweet time," I replied, chuckling nervously. My gut was starting to churn. There was something about these guys. Maybe it was the way the other man, shorter and stockier, was hanging back. His hand was in his pocket, and he seemed anxious, darting his eyes around. "No worries. We can help you out. Let me grab some tools from the car," the taller man said, turning back toward his vehicle. "Actually, that's okay. AAA's on their way," I replied, holding up my phone like a shield. "But thanks." The taller man paused, locking eyes with his shorter companion for a brief moment. "All right, suit yourself," he said, and turned back toward his car, the gravel crunching under his boots with each step. Meanwhile, the shorter guy circled my car. "You alone out here?" His voice was casual, but it had an unsettling undertone. Yeah, just me," I answered, clutching my phone a little tighter. I glanced at my prosthetic leg, praying I wouldn't need to run. He paused by the flat tire and gave it a swift kick, as if testing its flatness. Then he proceeded to peek inside the car through the windows, eyes skimming over the empty passenger seat and my bag in the back. The silence stretched between us, heavy and tense. I found myself stealing glances at the taller man who was now rummaging through his car's trunk. What was he getting? The shorter man straightened up and met my gaze. "AAA always takes their time, don't they?" Before I could answer, a flash of metal caught my eye. The taller man was returning, and he wasn't carrying tools or a spare tire. It was a shotgun. My heart plummeted. These guys weren't here to help me at all. I felt the color drain from my face, my hand instinctively reaching for my phone in my pocket. But what could I do? Dialing 911 would take precious seconds I didn't have. "Change of plans," the taller man smirked, leveling the shotgun at me. "How about you hand over that phone and whatever else you got?" I swallowed hard, my mouth suddenly dry as dust. I put my arms up. "Hey guys, you can have everything, okay? I don't want any trouble." The shorter man shot a quick, nervous glance down the road. "Hurry up, man," he urged his partner. That's when I heard it, the distant but unmistakable sound of a powerful engine revving, growing louder. A beacon of hope in the middle of nowhere. Both men perked up, their faces twisting into masks of confusion and fear. The taller man lowered the shotgun an inch, and there it was, the AAA tow truck, its yellow lights flashing like a cavalry of angels, pulling up behind my car. "Shit!" the taller man hissed, stashing the shotgun back into his coat. "Tonight is your lucky night," he said to me. Without another word, they scrambled back to their car. Tires squealed on the asphalt as they made a hasty, reckless U-turn, vanishing into the darkness on I-40. The tow truck driver stepped out, a burly man with a concerned look on his face. "Everything all right here?" I let out a shaky breath, the weight of the moment finally catching up to me. "Yeah," I managed to say. "You have no idea how glad I am to see you."